Kyle Hamilton apologized to Ravens fans after the game and was one of the only players to stick around and speak to the media and take the heat. And I also want to discuss this narrative that's floating out there that Lamar Jackson quit and that he doesn't have an injury, which is absolutely not true. All that and more in today's episode of the Flock Rundown.
Ravens Flock. Flock Rundown is the place to be.
Motionless brainwaves attempt to swim their way to sense, can't tame the untamed.
What's up, Ravens fans? My name is Ryan, and welcome back to another episode of the Flock Rundown. Yesterday was painful. This season has been painful. There's no doubt about it, man. This is shocking how many guys are injured. It's shocking how underprepared everyone is. I went on a crazy post-game rant about the coaching staff and everything in detail about this game last night, so check out the post-game thoughts if you haven't yet. But I wanted to come on today because I saw what Kyle said last night, and it really spoke to me, man. So let's play what Kyle Hamilton said, and then I want to talk about leaders of this team and why he's one of the only ones.
The product that we're putting on the field right now is not up to par with what the Ravens have been in the past and have been in the recent past. And I think we know that. We're trying our best to correct it, but obviously something's wrong. So it's up to all of us to try to fix that. Also, I feel like earlier in the week I used poor choice of words, just saying that Ravens fans were spoiled. Retract that. I meant in a sense that Ravens fans have been accustomed to great defense, great teams. Haven't been a lot of teams in Ravens history since '96 to underachieve to the point where fans felt disappointed in the season as a whole. And I feel like as of right now, in week 4, obviously, long way to go in this season, but we're disappointed, and I'm sure the fans are disappointed too. So we got to get it fixed. We got to put a product and a team on the field that fans are proud to say they root for, proud to say they spend money on tickets to come to games and all that stuff and support us. So on a brighter note, I want to shout out to everybody who contributed today, specifically on the defensive side. CJ Okoye, I think it was his first game ever in the NFL, did a great job. Josh Tupou just signed here this week, was playing for us. Brent Urban got elevated, is playing for us. Mike Green's a rookie out there playing who knows how many snaps. Tavius Robinson's third-year guy, but it seems like he's been here for 10 years. Jake Hummel, Teddy Buchanan, TJ Tampa, Malachi, Keon Martin, undrafted guy, makes the team. He's out there playing 3/4 of the game against the 3-time Super Bowl champs in the past however many years. So shout out to those guys for what they did today, the whole game. Obviously it didn't go how we wanted it to, but I think that's kind of a silver lining to take from it. It's a top down in the organization, guys just working hard. So we got to get it fixed. We know that. We'll do it. Hopefully this week.
Shout out to Kyle Hamilton, man. I did not love the Ravens fans are spoiled comment last week, but I kind of knew where he was going with it, and he clarified that for everybody and apologized and is one of the most accountable people on this team. I love hearing Kyle Hamilton talk because you're getting the real honest truth. You're getting accountability, and he's just one of the only leaders on this team. I talked about it in the post-game thoughts episode last night that the Ravens are lacking a voice. John Harbaugh should be the glue, but obviously that's not working well right now, and maybe his influence is being lost throughout the locker room, so some players got to step up and be the voice. And everybody else on the defense denied interviews, were gone or injured. You can't talk to players if they're injured, but they left players like Tavius Robinson and John Jenkins, Malachi Starks, and Keon Martin to take the heat in that locker room and answer these questions. That's unacceptable, man. And I'm not including the injured players, which is a lot of guys. Obviously, they don't have to speak to the media if they're injured. They may have been getting treatment and things like that. But for Kyle Hamilton to be the only defensive guy really there taking the heat and answering questions and then leaving it up to guys like Malachi Starks and Tavius Robinson and John Jenkins and Keon Martin to sit there and take that heat in the locker room, that's unacceptable. We don't have players stepping up to be leaders. So Kyle Hamilton, shout out to you, man. You are being a true leader. You are taking accountability. This is one Raven that is obviously going to be here for a long time. We just signed him to an extension. And there's a lot of guys, especially on the defensive side of the ball, that are not going to be here next year. And I'm starting to think that's not really a bad thing. I'm starting to question a guy like Marlon Humphrey's leadership, and I should have been questioned it. I haven't really loved the style, but I loved the way he played on the field, but he's been hobbled, and his leadership is questionable. Roquan Smith, when we first brought him over, I was like, this is the leader we need. This is the voice we need. But that voice has ran stale. I mean, he's saying the same things, and he's not backing it up on the field anymore. And there's not many Ravens right now who are playing incredible ball out there, but stand there and take the heat then. Take accountability for it. That's why I love what Kyle Hamilton's saying. Derrick Henry is in the locker room talking to the media after every loss, saying the right things, taking accountability. Shout out to Rashad Bateman, who stood in the locker room and took questions. Zay Flowers bounced as soon as he could. He denied talking to the media. Bateman stood in there and took the heat. We need leaders like that. Let's focus and put our energy towards those guys. Follow those guys, because the people walking out, the people just brushing off the media, and I get it. As a player, you probably don't want to talk to the media. You think that this is all a joke, but it's part of your job. You have to stand there and take questions and take the heat. And it's not fair to be there present when everything's going well and, talking about it all the time and being part of every interview when things are going well. But the second they're not going well, you're a ghost. That's not fair. That makes no sense. So if you want to shun away from the media, then always shun away from the media. Then never show up. But you can't just not show up after losses or when things get tough. That's when we need the leaders to speak up the most. Kyle Hamilton's doing that. Derrick Henry's doing that. And I just want to commend Kyle Hamilton, man, for apologizing and, recorrecting. I didn't think what he said about the spoiled fans was a huge deal. I knew what he meant, but regardless, acknowledging it, saying, hey, that's a poor choice of words. I didn't mean it like that. I just meant like there's been greatness here, and we're not playing anything like that. And that's facts. So I appreciate Kyle Hamilton for owning up to it and all the issues that are going on the defense right now. Kyle Hamilton is a leader that everybody needs to be following, and I am thankful that he is here for a long time in a Baltimore Ravens uniform. Between running a business, creating videos, and just everyday life, I'm always looking for a quick snack to keep me fueled, and that's why I gotta tell you guys about Chomps. I am literally obsessed with these beef sticks. I have one every single day. It is the perfect on-the-go snack. 10 grams of protein, 0 grams of sugar, and they taste incredible. My personal favorite right now is the barbecue beef stick. Chomps comes in a bunch of pack sizes too. You can grab them online in 10 count or 24 count packs, or pick them up in stores as singles or 6 to 8 packs. If you've tried Chomps before, drop your favorite flavor in the comments. I'd love to know what you guys think. And if you haven't tried Chomps, check them out using the link in the description, or use code FLOCK for 15% off your Chomps order and free shipping. Moving on to Lamar Jackson, I've been seeing a lot of people and a lot of videos being made and a lot of fans now talking about how Lamar Jackson quit on the team. That is not true at all. He is hurt. He has a hamstring injury. There is multiple videos of him limping, struggling to walk, and I wouldn't question that this hamstring injury hasn't been lingering throughout this season. I thought Lamar has been a little bit less mobile and was dealing with the cramping situation in Buffalo. Like, who's to say that this isn't tied to that hamstring a little bit? I'm not sure about that. He could have a brand new hamstring injury in that Chiefs game. But regardless, the point is Lamar is hurt. Now, if we were in the Super Bowl, would he have just stood in there and grinded it out? Maybe, but we were down 3 scores. So it's a smart decision for Lamar and from the coaching staff and the team in general to be like, all right, we're out of this game. Lamar, you just tweaked your hamstring. Do not even push it. We need to get you healed. But he was getting treatment. He was seen getting treatment right after the game. There's footage of him limping. I mean, in what world did Lamar Jackson just fake an injury and quit on the team? And that's disrespectful to Lamar, to say that he would quit on the team like that. Is he frustrated? Is he not trusting his offensive line? Is he probably frustrated with the game plans and the play calling? Absolutely. But he's not going to quit. If Lamar Jackson just quit, then I don't even want that to be the quarterback of this team. That's not true, man. Lamar Jackson wouldn't quit. So people need to stop saying that he quit on the team or he's just done. I mean, that's not true. He got hurt. things are rough right now. I know everyone's looking for an excuse, and there's a lot of things going wrong, and I think coaching needs to be kind of put up there at the top, along with injuries, which are, I guess, a little bit uncontrollable. We've had some good injury history these last 2 years, and now we're not. But I think it's disrespectful and just wrong to say that Lamar Jackson is not injured and that he just quit on the team and he doesn't want to put his body at risk anymore. That is not true, man. Yeah, the offensive line kind of sucks. I mean, we've been saying that for 2 years now. This is nothing new. We had a great year last year with an average offensive line. Here we are again. And the Chiefs were bringing a lot of extra bodies. It wasn't just the O-line breaking down from like a four-man rush. It was a lack of answers from Todd Monken as well. It's not just the O-line. It's a rough O-line and poor game planning, poor adjustments in the game, and then Lamar's not trusting it. We saw that against Detroit. He was getting happy feet. He wasn't trusting his line. So all that's fair to point out. I mean, coaching definitely has to be better. The offensive line has to play better. We got to find a way, whether we got to go make a move or what, we have to find a way to make the O-line better. And then I think once this offense gets rolling a little bit and we get healthier, Lamar will trust the O-line a little bit more, and you'll see Lamar Jackson. I mean, Lamar Jackson was off to a hell of a start this season, and that was a bad Chiefs game from everybody, including Lamar. He made some bad decisions in that game, but he's not faking an injury. That's all I want to say, man. I got to clarify that because I can't stand seeing the narrative out there today that Lamar quit on the team, because that's disrespectful. Lamar wouldn't want you to think that. You think Lamar Jackson's a quitter? Like that's BS, man. Don't believe that. That is not true. He is hurt. And I'm just praying that this hamstring heals fast and he doesn't miss any time, because we really can't afford many more losses here and we need Lamar Jackson. But I promise you, he did not quit. But that's it for this episode, guys. I went over the game thoughts from yesterday and a lot of the coaching issues in the post-game episode. So if you haven't checked that out, definitely go check that out. But I wanted to come on here and talk about this Lamar Jackson injury situation, and I wanted to highlight how much of a leader Kyle Hamilton proved himself to be last night, man, and how I think everybody needs to be following him. But let me know what you guys are thinking about everything. I'll be going live again this evening with Noah at 7 o'clock, so we'll probably be chatting a lot more about all of this. But appreciate you guys, as always, for tuning in to another episode of the Flock Rundown. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and I'll let the greatest linebacker in the history of the game take us out.
Ravens flock. The flock rundown is the place to be. My man Ryan has been a lifelong Ravens fan since he was born. So I'm telling you now, it's about to go down. The podcast, the flock rundown. Ravens, baby. Nothing gets better than waking up and wondering how high we can fly. Tune in.